Hello YouTube and welcome to this new video about the Nerevarine. I realize this is kind of an easy topic, but lately I have encountered a lot of people wanting to know about the Elder Scrolls lore, but just don't want to play an old game like Morrowind. Which is a shame because in my opinion it's a true masterpiece. That said, I decided to pick up playing Morrowind again and I wanted to make a video about it. So in this video I will tell you the story of Morrowind's protagonist, the Nerevarine. Of course this story will be very simplistic for time's sake, because this video would be over 2 hours if I wanted to cover everything there is to say. So I made a small summary of the backstory on the Nerevarine prophecy and the Nerevarine himself. This is not a requested topic, but I hope you guys can still enjoy it. And next video will again be a requested topic. That said, let's kick off. For those who have never played Morrowind, the Nerevarine has always been kind of a vague term. People do not really seem to know who he is or what he represents. So to get that out of the way, the Nerevarine is the legitimate reincarnation of Indoril Nerevar. Indoril Nerevar was the champion of Azura in the First Era. He was known under the names Moon and Star, Nerevar the Captain and God Killer. He was the first Hortator, which is a war leader or general of the combined armies of the Dwemer and the Dwemer. Together, under Indoril's leadership, they overthrew the Northern Kingdom that was established in Morrowind. This union of Dwemer and Dwemer came to a quick end when the Dwemer discovered the Dwemer were building the Numidium, a gigantic robot god. For more info about that you can view my video on the Dwemer, which should appear at one of the eye icons right now. Anyway, once the Dwemer discovered the Dwemer were building the Numidium, they went to war with the Dwemer. The Dwemer lost this war and in the final moments of the war, the Dwemer disappeared, after trying to use the Heart of Lorkhan. Indril and one of his generals, Dagoth then found the Heart of Lorkhan in the depths of the Red Mountain, together with the tools the Dwemer had tried to use on the Heart of Lorkhan to give them the power. Indril told Dagoth to guard the tools, and in the meantime he would talk to his advisors, Sothasil, Almalexia and Vivek, and they then together decided to give the tools to Azura, and swore to never use them. When they returned to the tools, Dagoth however had been corrupted by the power of Lorkhan's heart and had used the tools to give himself godlike power. The tribunal, his advisors, and Nerevar then fought against him, and ultimately they managed to get the tools back from Dagoth and kill him. Then Indoril Nerevar started to summon Azura so he could gift her the tools, but before he could finish his summoning he was assassinated by his advisors, the later Tribunal. They then used the tools to become gods themselves and became the Tribunal, or the self-proclaimed protectors of Morrowind. Azura, however, was outraged by this, and when Nerevar was killed, she cursed the entire Dwemer race, turning their skins dark and their eyes red. This is how the Dwemer came to be, as a punishment for the Tribunal's treachery. This is the moment where the Nerevarine story actually begins. With the curse of Azura, she also proclaimed Nerevar would be reborn, to right the wrongs done by the Tribunal and by the tools. The Tribunal, however, decided not to believe this and kept the story quiet. Hundreds of years had passed before this prophecy would actually come true. In the meantime, the Tribunal had ruled Morrowind for a very long time, but Dagoth, who was supposed to be dead, had also returned somehow. The Tribunal had fought him, but every time they defeated him, he regained his strength through the power of the Heart of Lorkhan. This, however, led to the building of the Ghost Fence around Red Mountain, to lock Dagoth and his followers in the Red Mountain. But as the Third Era was passing, the Tribunal felt their powers weakening, and they had to replenish their powers at the Heart of Lorkhan. This, however, was made impossible by Dagoth who was now residing in the Red Mountain Heart Chamber with his followers. So, the Tribunal became weaker and Dagoth became stronger, and thus Dagoth began executing his plan to dominate Morrowind and ultimately the world. One of the aspects of his plan was to release a disease, Corpus. This disease made people immortal but slowly deformed their bodies and corrupted their minds until they lost all sanity. During all this time, the Nerevarine prophecy, however, was still passed on by the Azlander tribes. They did not forget the prophecy, as they did not venerate the Tribunal as gods. They lived in small tribes across the Ashlands. Their cult passed on the prophecy for generations. And the prophecy was as follows. 7 trials. What he put his hands to, that shall be done. What is left undone, that shall be done. First trial. On a certain day, to uncertain parents, incarnate moon and star, reborn. Second trial. Neither blight nor age can harm him. The curse of flesh before him flies. Third trial. In caverns dark, Azura's eyes see, and make the shine moon and star. Fourth trial. A stranger's voice unites the houses. 3 houses call him Hortator. Fifth trial. A stranger's hand unites the Velathi. 4 tribes will call him Nerevarine. Sixth trial. He honors the blood of the tribe unmourned. He eats their sin and is reborn. Seventh trial. His mercy frees the curse of false gods, binds the broken, redeems the mad. One destiny. He speaks the law for Velad's people. He speaks for their land and their names engraved. This is where the story of Morrowind begins. In the year 426 of the Third Era, a prisoner was shipped to Morrowind from the Imperial City to Vvardenfell by a royal order of the Emperor. This is the player character in Morrowind. Why he is sent to Vvardenfell is unknown to the player. When he arrives, he is after examination sent to Caius Gossades. After handing him your orders, he takes you in as a Blades agent in Morrowind, because he turns out to be the leading Blades agent in Morrowind. After some missions, he will tell you that you have been sent to Morrowind by the Emperor because you match the description of the supposed Nerevarine. And so begins the player's quest to become the Nerevarine. To do so, the player has to pass all 7 trials. The first trial has already been passed. The player is born on a certain day to uncertain parents. If this all sounds vague, it is. This day is not really fixed, since the age of your character may differ in Morrowind. Thus the date is never mentioned, but the date mentioned in the prophecy is the date of your character's birthday. The second trial tells that the Nerevarine would be immortal, because he cannot be harmed by sickness or age. So how could the player achieve that? Well, the answer lies within Dagoth-Ur's plan for domination, the corpus disease. The Nerevarine at some point contracted corpus disease, and then when he went to Divath-Vir, I'm not really good at pronunciation of Dark Elf names, so let me be forgiven. He went to him for a cure because Divath-Vir was the expert on corpus disease, and he had an experimental treatment for it. He did not yet know if it would work, but after he tried it on the Nerevarine, he managed to cure all negative aspects of the corpus disease. So he kept the immortality, thus completing the second trial. The third trial suggests that the Nerevarine would be acknowledged as Nerevarine by Azura. To do that, the Nerevarine traveled to the Cavern of the Incarnate. There he got a moon and star ring, a ring that could only be worn by Indoril Nerevar himself. And it turned out the player also could wear it. Thus, the player was recognized as Nerevarine by Azura. The fourth and fifth trial speak of the Nerevarine uniting all of Morrowind against Dagoth-Ur. And so it happened. The player in Morrowind, or the Nerevarine, managed to become Hortator of all 3 houses. Thus, like Indoril Nerevar became general of all of Morrowind. He also convinced all Ashlander tribes of the fact that he indeed was Nerevarine, because the Nerevarine is the one the tribes would follow, and thus the Nerevarine got all of Morrowind united for a common cause. The Tribunal, however, had during this time seen the Nerevarine as a threat to Morrowind, since the belief in the Tribunal was, according to them, the only way to keep Dagoth-Ur at bay. But they too began to see that the Nerevarine would be the last hope in defeating Dagoth-Ur. Vivek then met with the Nerevarine. He handed him one of the tools used to work the heart of Lorkhan, and told him how to find the other 2. He also acknowledged the Nerevarine as the Tribunal's champion in defeating Dagoth-Ur, and he stopped the persecution of everyone believing in him. At this point of Morrowind, all of Morrowind was practically rallied around the Nerevarine. He had the support of all great houses, the Ashlander tribes and the Tribunal. Thus everything was set. The Nerevarine travelled past the Ghost Fence and fetched the tools. He then went to destroy Dagoth-Ur. After a battle between Dagoth-Ur and the Nerevarine managed to destroy the heart of Lorkhan, thus being able to destroy Dagoth-Ur and remove the blight from Morrowind. By doing this, destroying the heart, he also passed the 7th trial, as he managed to cut the Tribunal's ties with the heart completely, turning them mortal and lose most of their divine power. This is where the main story of Morrowind ends. But the story continues with the DLCs, so I'll start with the DLC of Tribunal. Shortly after the victory over Dagoth-Ur, the Nerevarine gets attacked by Dark Brotherhood assassins. With the help of the Empire, it can be traced back to the city of Mournhold, home of the Tribunal Temple. There the Nerevarine helps Almalexia, one of the members of the Tribunal. After some days in Mournhold, however, the city gets attacked by fabricants, mechanical creatures. Almalexia suspects that the last member of the Tribunal, Sothasil, is behind the attacks, and makes the Nerevarine reconstruct Indoril Nerevar's old sword, True Flame, in order to kill Sothasil. The Nerevarine is then sent into Sothasil's domain, the Clockwork City, to kill him. However, when the player reaches Sothasil, he is already dead, and when he wants to go back to Almalexia, he finds her behind him. She tells him that she killed Sothasil, and that she had initiated the attack on Mournhold so she could get a firmer grip over its citizens. She also wants to kill the player and make him a martyr for Almalexia, to increase her power over Morrowind as it all. The Nerevarine is then forced to kill her, and thus almost completed the 7th trial to the Nerevarine prophecy, killing all the Tribunal members. However, the Nerevarine then returns to Vivec and tells him what happened. He is saddened, but tells the Nerevarine that death comes to all mortals, and that he is sad that something that began in such glory should end this way. The Nerevarine after that travels to the island of Solstheim to aid the Empire. He helps the Imperials out at Fort Frostmoth, but after a couple of weeks the fort is attacked by werewolves, and the Nerevarine goes to Skal village to discover the origins of its attack. He then has to participate in several rituals in order to be accepted into the village's cult. After being accepted, he learns of the Blood Moon prophecy, a large-scale hunt hosted by the Prince, now I'm going to pronounce it correctly, in my last video I didn't, by the Daedric Prince Hircine. That must be correct. In the tradition of the Blood Moon hunt, Hircine takes Solstheim's greatest warriors and lets them fight each other. The winner that is left has to fight an aspect of Hircine himself. If the Nerevarine wins the duel, the playable story of the Nerevarine ends. However, we do know that the Nerevarine is probably still alive during the time of Skyrim, since he is immortal, but he's currently not on Tamriel. In Oblivion, you can hear that the Nerevarine has left Tamriel on an expedition to Akavir. And since then, there's not been heard from him a lot. Well, actually, there's nothing heard from him. One last side note though. Vivec, last of the Tribunal, disappeared under mysterious circumstances. One of the suspected reasons of her disappearance is that the Nerevarine ultimately killed him to fulfill the prophecy, but we can never be sure, as there's also speculation that Daedra killed him during the Oblivion crisis. Well, it was once again a lot of work, but I really enjoyed making this video since I recently played Morrowind again. And just a week after that I heard of the Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind expansion, so it got me really back into the Morrowind mood. Anyway, I really hoped you guys enjoyed the video because, well, I had a lot of joy making it. And if you did, like and subscribe. If you want to get more involved with the channel, consider joining my Steam group or adding me on Steam. The link is in the description. Leave your topic suggestions in the comments below as I read them all. But for now, I'll see you later.